Hey kiddos, today we're going to be talking about factoring the sum and difference of cubes. So make sure that we know that cubes is basically when you raise something to the third power. So that's what we're going to be dealing with. So the first thing that we need to do is work on what are our cubes here. So 0 cubed results in what? And remember, whenever you're cubing something, essentially what you're doing is you're multiplying it by itself 3 times. Okay? So for the first two here, 0 cubed is 0, 1 cubed is 1, 2 cubed is 8, 3 cubed 27, 4 cubed 64, and you guys can, I'm sure, figure out the rest here. Okay, so very important that you know this is going to only help when we're factoring the sum of differences of cubes. So it's very important that you kind of to know these values. All right. If not, you always have that handy dandy calculator to help you figure them out. All right, so we actually have two formulas that we're going to be using. One is for the sum, and the second is for the difference. So make sure you understand the difference, okay? So for the sum of cubes factoring formula, so that basically means when you have x cubed plus y cubed or anything in this variation, okay, with a plus, then this would be what our answer would be when we factor it out. We would end up with x plus y times x squared minus xy plus y squared. So one thing that helps us remember the order of our signs here, our operation signs, is something called SOAP. You all use it hopefully on a daily basis, but we can break it down here to help us remember what we need to do. Now, for our sum, okay, S represents the same, O represents opposite, and AP means that it's always positive. So, when we're dealing with factoring the sum, the very first one will always be the same. So, because it's a sum, it's always going to be positive. It's always going to be a sum. The next symbol is going to be opposite, so that's going to be a subtraction sign. And then AP means it's always positive, so you'll always end with a plus. All right. Now, the difference, okay, so this means you have x cubed minus y cubed. When we factor it out, it'll look like this. X minus y times x squared plus xy plus y squared. All right, so notice this time the minus sign is at the very beginning, so that stays the same because it's a difference, subtraction. The second one is the opposite, so the opposite of minus made it plus. And again, the last one is always positive, so hopefully we never mess that one up. All right, so let's factor out this first one. So notice I know it's a sum of cubes because it has the plus sign, okay? So you have 8a cubed plus b cubed. So we begin by writing each term as a cube and use the sum of cubes formula to guide us to get our answer. So first thing that we need to figure out is looking at the 8, what is its cube, basically? So what number multiplied by itself 1, 2, 3 times would give us 8. Hopefully you are saying that that is the number 2. And then that has the letter A, because A times A times A times A times A is A cubed. And then for B, well, that one's pretty easy. It's just the letter. All right. So that kind of gives us the breakdown because now that is our X and that is our Y. All right. So using our formula over here, okay, the very beginning is simply just x plus y. So we would have 2a plus b, okay? Now for the second part, it's a little bit more elaborate. We'll have x squared, okay? X was 2a, so we have 2a squared. Now remember the symbols here, okay? Should be plus goes here. This is going to be a minus, and there's always a plus at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and put those there. So that way we don't forget. That's always going to be true whenever we're doing sum of cubes. Okay. And I got x squared already in, minus, now I got to do x times y. So that is 2a times b. I'm just plugging everything in, okay? And then the last part of this says it's plus y squared, and y is the letter b. Now I can actually simplify them, break it down. The beginning part doesn't need to be broken down, so I'm going to be left with 2a plus b times. Now 2a squared, yes, you can actually break that down. 2 squared, which is 2 times 2, is 4. And then you have a squared minus, all right, we're going to multiply 2a times b. That gives us 2ab. And then plus, oh, the ending there was supposed to be squared, b squared. So that would be our answer for factoring 8a cubed plus b cubed. And if you're not sure if that's right, you can always, guess what, FOIL here and check. So now let's move on to the difference. All right, so what I always like to do is I always like to pre-do everything so that way I can just basically really just substitute everything in. So based on 8a cubed minus b cubed, we need to figure out what values would actually give us those results if we cubed them. So again, 2 cubed will give me 8, a cubed will give me a cubed, and then b cubed would have to be b would give me 1's cubed, give me b cubed. Notice because this is a difference problem, subtraction, I have my minus here. So because of that, I went ahead and I pre-wrote what my final answer is basically going to look like, okay? So notice I started off with subtraction, same. Then the next one, opposite, became a plus. And then the last one here, AP, always positive, okay? So I have a minus, plus, plus. And that is for difference. So now we're going to plug in our values. We just discovered that 2a is x and b is my y value. So all I'm simply doing is plugging them in. So for the first one, and I'm looking here to do this, I got x minus y, which means I have 2a minus b. All right. Now moving on, the next part I have is x squared. X is 2a, so I'm plugging that in. Plus x times y, which is 2a times b. And then the last one is y squared b squared. All right. Now, all I have to do is simplify everything. Break it, actually do the math here. So 2a minus b, you can't do anything to it, so it stays the same. Then here I got 2a squared. Well, 2a squared results in 4a squared. Plus 2a times b is 2ab, and then plus b squared, that stays as b squared. So that would be the final answer then for our difference. All right, moving on to our next problem. Now we're going to factor 8a cubed plus 27b cubed. Okay, so first thing again we got to figure out is what numbers, okay, because the letter part is easy. What number, though, cubed gives us 8? What number cubed gives us 27? 8 would be 2 cubed, and I have a. I need a there. And then for the 27, that would be 3 cubed. 3 times 3 times 3 gives us 27, and then that's with the letter b. So what that does is we figured out what our x value is and what our y value is. So that's what we're going to be plugging in to our fabulous formula that goes with the sum of cubes, because this is a plus sign, so that means we're using the sum. So first here goes x, and x is 2a, plus y, which is 3b. All right, now next here we have x squared, so x squared was, so we'll have 2a squared, minus x times y, which is 2a times 3b, plus y squared is 3b. All right, now we basically just simplify what we can. Can't change 2a plus 3b, so that actually stays. But here's where we can actually break down stuff. So you have 2a squared, which 2 squared is 4, and then a squared, minus 2a times 3b is, that gives me 6, and then I have a and b, plus 3b squared is 3 times 3 is 9, and then b squared is b squared. So the answer would be 2a plus 3b times 4a squared minus 6ab plus 9b squared would be the factored answer for that. Awesome. Moving on. All right, so again, I like to always pre-write all the stuff because it just makes my life easier when I'm plugging it all in to this fabulous formula that we have for the difference. How do I know it's difference? Because there's a subtraction. So we're going to be basically substituting it all into this. Remember, this is where we get that whole concept of soup. Okay, so first, what number multiplied by itself 3 times gives us 64? That would be 4. And then the letter that's included with that is x. So moving on to now 27. What number multiplied by itself 3 times gives me 27? That is 3. And that letter that's with it is y. So we just discovered what our x value is and what our y value is. So all we do now is plug it in. All right, so x minus y is in the first parenthesis. So x, just 4x, minus y, which is 3y. Okay, piece of cake, piece of pie. Moving on to the next part, you have x squared, which is 4x then, squared, plus x times y, which is 4x times 3y, plus y squared, which is 3y. All right, now to actually break down our answer, we get 4x minus 3y, nothing changed there. Here's where we got to do some math. 4x squared. 4 squared is 16. X squared is x squared. Plus 4x times 3y gave me 4 times 3 is 12. And then x times y, xy. And then the last part, plus 3y squared. 3 squared is 9. And then y squared. So that would be our final answer, factoring that cube. All right, looking at our next example here, you have the factor of 24a to the fourth plus 3ax cubed. All right, so there should already be like a red flag going on because you got a to the fourth power, which what we're practicing here is factoring cubes, and 4 is not a cube. So always remember, as we always do with factoring, you should always actually look to see if there is a GCF first. So let us go ahead and break that down. 24 can be broken down to 3 times 8. I don't think I really need to break down 8 any further, just because the 3ax cubed has got a 3. So I see that they match up with 3s. A to the fourth is 4a's, a, and then x cubed. All right, what do they have in common? They got 3's in commons, and they got an a in common. So that tells me that the GCF is 3a. So when I rewrite this problem, we're going to take out that GCF. So 3a, and what's left over is 8a cubed. And this is a sum problem, so it's a plus sign, plus x cubed. Now, the only difference here is that we're going to have to make sure that we include this in our final answer, okay? So we cannot forget about including that into our final answer. But this is the problem that we're going to be breaking down right now, and that is 8a cubed plus x cubed, okay? So first thing we need to do is figure out what number cubed gives us 8. It's going to be 2. The letter that goes with it is a. There's no number with the x cubed, so that makes that really easy. That's going to be an x. So what we've discovered is 2a is our x value, x is our y value. So let's follow our formula, okay, for the sum to get our answer. So we got x plus y, which is 2a plus x. All right, now to plug in the rest of it, we got x squared, which is 2a squared, minus 2a times x times y, plus y squared, which is x. All right, now let's break down this math. You don't do anything to the first part. Oh, and don't forget to bring down the GCF. That goes there, okay, on the outside. Don't want to forget that, all right? And then we get 2a squared. You break that down, that's 4a squared. minus 2a times x is 2ax plus x squared is x squared. So our entire answer then would be this right here. Notice, remember, don't forget to put that GCF back on the outside if you take one out. All right, so let's look at maybe one or two more that I'll help you with, and then you got a few that you're going to work out on your own OYO style. So number one here, x cubed plus 64. All right, so again, we have to figure out what values cubed give us those answers. So x cubed, well, that's going to be just x. And then what number cubed gives us 64? And that is 4. So we discovered what our x value is and what our y value is to plug it in to our formula. Now, remember, this is a plus sign, so therefore we're going to use the sum formula. So notice I already have it set up, plus, minus, plus. All right, so let's plug in what we got here. So we get x plus y, so that's x plus 4. Then we got x squared, x. Oh, I don't like using that same color, sorry. X squared minus x times y, which is x times 4, plus y squared, which is 4. So now let's break down our answer. We get x plus 4 times x squared minus x times 4 is 4x plus 4 squared is 16. So that would be our answer. All right, so the rest of this is OYO. Be sure to follow the formulas.